Season 1, Episode 5 of the STR Street Talk Show. My name's Mark Smith. If you're loving this show, please smash that notification bell and click subscribe and like so that you never miss an episode. Season 1, Episode 5 of the STR Street Talk Show. We're sending out a message to Sue Jordan. Unfortunately, Sue's not been able to join us, was being edited out of this particular episode. Sue lives in regional Australia, up on the Sunshine Coast. Fabulous host, one of the world's best. Unfortunately, hasn't got the world's best NBN broadband, and we've persisted with the recordings, and unfortunately each week it just doesn't quite get any better. So unfortunately we've had to scrub her out of the particular episode. She won't be appearing in the subsequent ones until there's a major NBN upgrade. So Albo, if you're listening, see what you can do up there on the Sunshine Coast. Plenty of votes to be had. And in the meantime, viewers, thanks for your patience. If there's anything we can do to help you if you're on the Sunshine Coast, don't be afraid to contact us at bnbhostsupport.com/STR show. Thanks a mil, and now enjoy the episode. All right, Season 1, Episode 5 of the STR Street Talk Show. We have a full complement this morning. We've got Jeff down in Victoria.
Hello, how are you?
Felicity across the ditch. How's it over there?
Hi, it's all good here, Mark. Thanks for having me. I'm coming into you from Wellington.
Meredith is looking very hot in the hot pink.
Yes, in the cold weather in Tassie. Thanks, Mark.
Good morning. And Sue, as always, working hard up on the Sunshine Coast. Today we're tackling the very, very important topic of cleaning. And if you don't know how important cleaning is, when you have your first review, if you're not up to par, I'm sure your guests will let you know. Sue, you got any thoughts about for someone that's brand new, that's starting on Airbnb, or maybe someone that's hasn't got a great 5-star average? I was actually having a look at one of your listings in the top 5%, one of your puppy and pancake listings, top 5% worldwide on Airbnb. Talk to us about cleaning, please, Sue.
I think you're absolutely spot on, Sue. And I think we live and die by our cleaning standards, because our guests expect to come into a home when they're staying that's clean. And it's not just a standard clean. There's a lot more that goes into cleaning a short-term holiday rental. Does anyone else want to add into that?
Yes, look, I think cleaning is the be-all and end-all. It's totally different to a normal clean of a home. And I think a lot of cleaners would admit to that. They would say that cleaning an Airbnb is totally different in ways that we can talk about later on. Mark?
As a bloke, I don't even like the word cleaning. I'm not sure it's what our refresher team, or whatever we call them, really do. And I actually ended up buying a business in property services, and because I'm in regional Australia, like Sue, like Jeff, like everyone except for you, Felicity. And well,
I don't think Hobart is regional Australia, is it, Meredith?
Sorry?
Well, okay, remote Australia. She's in remote Australia.
Well, it is considered regional, even though it's a capital city, especially for migrants who want to come and do their first couple of years in a regional area. Hobart and I think Darwin and Canberra are all considered regional.
Well, Canberra's pretty primitive, isn't it? So.
And the other thing about this cleaning business is just when you think you've done a good job, sometimes you'll meet someone who'll do an even better job. And I know myself, I used to do all my cleaning, all my linen myself, but I got to the point, like Sue, where I just was fed up with cleaning my own home and cleaning the cottage. So I thought, right, I'm going to get someone in. And so I found a company. I worked with Home Time, and they did housekeeping services for me. And can I tell you, I met this lovely young guy who was coming in and taking over, doing the housekeeping for me. and he was amazing. I thought I made the place look good. I always got 5-star reviews, but I don't know what he did, but he just somehow made the whole place shine and sparkle, and it just looked next level. And I think that's actually one of the things that you sometimes get when you get these housekeepers who come in. They see things with fresh eyes, and they somehow arrange a few little things, and it just makes the place look fantastic. So another key suggestion I have is when you're looking for a housekeeper, try and find someone who's going to really take some pride and joy in the work that they do, and also comment on it. Let them know that you've noticed.
Don't our team, don't they love it when you share, you know, your 5-star reviews with them? And this is what Mary, who stayed, had to say.
Because I know here in Tassie, I don't hire cleaners, but I know a lot of hosts find it very, very hard to get good cleaners. How do you train your own, or do you have a specific way of finding it?
Felicity and Jeff, why don't we hear from you about capital city perspectives as well? It's just as hard in a capital city, I guess, and we're dealing with traffic there, and we haven't probably, I spend a lot of time in Western Sydney. I don't think we've got quite the people shortage problem, but isn't it difficult finding people that are, it's really a thankless career, but some people are really, really good at it. How do you find those, how do you find that person that wants to do this, that has a passion for it and that's good and will work at a reasonable rate, Felicity?
Well, it's interesting you said that, Mark, and I was just thinking of a conversation that I had with the STR team while COVID was going on and we were all suffering lockdowns and then coming back to work. And the number one gripe for short-term rental owners around Australia, and I think this also reverberated around the world, was how do we find good housekeepers? And one of the key issues that people were raising was the cost of a key housekeeper. And I think pre-COVID, I know for myself, we used to pay $85, get the whole place cleaned and sorted and looking spick and span, and it did look beautiful. But these days, our housekeepers are in short supply, and during COVID, many of them lost a lot of work because the short-term rental market almost died, and so they had to take other jobs. And what a lot of housekeepers found is they were taking jobs and they were being paid quite well, looked after quite well, and the option to come back to short-term rental cleaning or housekeeping wasn't quite as attractive. And I know a lot of them were getting paid a lot more. And we raised the question that, hang on a minute. We used to pay our grounds people or lawn maintenance people, you know, $65, $75 an hour to come in and whip around, trim the lawns, trim the hedges, and off they go. And when you compare that level of work to the work that our housekeepers are paying, was it really fair to be paying our housekeepers $25 an hour? Probably not. So now when you see housekeepers who want $45, $50+ an hour, it's justified, because when you look at how much we're paying other trades to look after our properties, I think we have to see that parity. And often there's that discrepancy between, maybe I'm going to get my head bitten off here, but we do have a lot of male people who work in the lawn maintenance and grounds maintenance, and we have a lot of females who work in the housekeeping. And there is a disparity here, and I think this is leveling up. However, it is also a cost you need to take on board when you are running a business to make it profitable. So it is tricky to work out, what am I saying here? The industry has changed in the last few years, and I think we all have to understand and expect that you do not find a housekeeper for $25 an hour in Sydney. I know of people who are paying roughly at least $50 an hour, often $60. I pay even more than that. I pay $85 an hour for my housekeeper. She is brilliant and she has an incredible team that she brings on board. But that's a lot of money, but she does do a very good job. And I can't run my business without her.
Yeah, I think the thing to contrast with the cost of that is the cost of not having her is you lose a night, or that's a couple of hundred, you know, So to me, this is the cost of doing business. But we'll go to Felicity and then Jeff.
I just wanted to chime in on what you were saying, Sue, in terms of the for some people, this short-term rental cleaning suits them to a T, and they love coming and cleaning like this. I remember talking to my housekeeper pre-COVID, this lovely young man who managed to make my place shine, and I just couldn't work out what he was doing that I wasn't doing. But I was talking to him afterwards one day, and I said, look, thank you, you do an amazing job, and we're very grateful to be working with you. And it's clearly evident that he took a lot of pride in his work. And he said to me, I actually am the lead housekeeper for this area for this company that you work with, and I now get to pick and choose my own jobs. And he said, if I ever see your place come up, I always pick your job first, because I know you keep on top of the maintenance, you keep on top of all the little bits and pieces in the house that need to be seen. So when I come in and do my job, it looks great. And he said, there are other properties that I look after and they look amazing in the photographs, but because the owners don't take the care to actually maintain the properties, the curtains are a little bit dirty, the sofa's a bit dirty, the rug's got marks on it. We can tell the owners all they want. We can tell the owners, but they don't actually act on it and do anything. So even though I come in and do my job, the place is starting to look a bit average and the owners aren't keeping on top of those things. So I can't make it shine, but when I come to you and I say something's broken, I know it'll be fixed the next time I come in.
Jeff.
Yeah, I think that just got a comment. I think this dovetails nicely into what Felicity and Sue were saying, and it absolutely staggers me when I talk to cleaners in our area that tell me that their hosts absolutely string them out on payment. We're not just talking 1 week or 2 weeks. We're talking 2 months and 3 months. And my advice to those guys are, why are you continuing to clean? There's plenty of hosts out there who'll pay their cleaners. I mean, the first person in my world who always gets paid is the cleaner. Second person who always gets paid is the tradie. 2 groups that I actually need. The last person, unfortunately, who always gets paid is me. And I fully get that there are days when, times are tough and, like everyone, I've had months where I'm looking at the bank statement and I'm thinking, God almighty, there's almost next to no money in it. But the reality is, and I think, see, you said this right at the beginning, without your cleaners, and I'd say without your tradies, you don't have a property that's saleable to a guest. So, you got to take care of them. You got to make sure they're paid. Haggle about the price. But I also tell you, if I get less than 5 stars for my cleaning, my cleaner knows about it, because I think I'm paying a pretty premium price. So I expect to get 5 stars every single time. And when we don't, we actually sit down and we have a discussion. Why did we not get 5 stars on the cleaning for this last guest? And I think that's a discussion you need to have with them.
I think that brings us to a very nice point, Jeff, about money and what things actually do cost. I'm a partner in a business. We look after about 130 properties. So there's a lot, and that's in regional Australia. And we're starting up a business in Western Sydney doing very similar property services right across the board. We pay our staff every week. We pay, and I think all good businesses should do that, but our subcontractors, I totally agree with you, by the way, Jeff. The owners are the ones to get paid last. I was just going to mention the tax office, but kind of begrudge that one. But
Totally. I begrudge paying them GST when I haven't earned enough money to pay myself for the month.
So we sadly, us owners come last. But to give viewers of the show a bit of an idea, the award wages. So this is the absolute minimum that we can pay legally in Australia. It's probably around $32 an hour under the Cleaning Services Award. And with on costs, the true cost of providing a car and car allowances, consumables, super, etc., cost. As a small business owner, I can promise you, like, you're up around at least double that, probably closer to $70 by the time you train people. You've got premises, you've got workers' comp insurance, this is an occupation that's very difficult on the body, and I feel for some of the men and women that we send out. I just think I'm not surprised that it does cost. We routinely send out bills at between $80 to $90 an hour with a profit margin built in, and that does not include linen. So, Felicity, your property is a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom. It's about you think that's like a 1 hour clean, or is it closer to an hour and a half?
Mark, my place is a little 1-bedroom
Yep.
cottage, but it also has a garden out the front of it. So there's a bit of maintenance that we ask our housekeepers to do in terms of sweeping, wiping down outdoor tables, and keeping those looking schmick. It is a 2-hour clean every week. Sometimes that's just simply keeping the place up to date. Sometimes they have extra time, which we ask them to do, where they have maybe an extra 15 minutes and they'll do the windows, they'll get into the fans, all those little extra things that you don't need to do necessarily every week, but you do them every month. And that's how that goes into it as well. The other thing I was just going to add to the point that we said before is that, when you are paying your cleaners and you do choose to pay them well, and you do choose to pay them on time, and you do look after them and give them feedback so they know they're doing a great job and it's being noticed, is when you look after them, they will look after you. And I know I've had moments where I've been caught short and I've had a booking that's come in and I've thought, heck, I don't know if I can actually take this last minute booking because I don't know if I can get a housekeeper. And literally being able to call them last minute and say, hey, I've got a last minute booking. Can you then do an exit clean on this date? And they'll say, yes, we'll fit you in.
Yeah. And you're a 2-hour clean for a 1-bedroom place. Has it got an oven? Has it got just the one, just the 1 bathroom? Like that actually sounds fairly detailed. And what are you charging per night?
Well, it is a detail clean, Mark, and there is an oven. There is a small electric barbecue because I am a sustainable host, no gas barbecues. We have induction hobs, which are nice and easy to clean, so they cut down on cleaning out gas hobs. But there's a fridge, there's books and toys that often have to go away. There's a bathroom with a big, glass screen that needs to be cleaned. And look, at the end of the day, the whole place needs to be absolutely schmick, and 2 hours is really what it takes to keep it looking schmick and keep it looking 5 stars. And look, I know myself, before Christmas, I got caught. The housekeeper I was working with at the time, she got sick. So I jumped in and did the housekeeping clean before a guest arrived. And I was obviously a little bit out of practice going, have I missed anything? All good. Great. Guests got in, seemed to love it, had no problems. However, when they left me 4 stars for cleaning, and I was horrified. And I was like, oh, damn, what did I miss? And so I wrote back to them and said, oh, look, I take a lot of pride in the place, and I thought I had it pretty well maintained, and I can't understand how I got 4 stars for cleaning because I thought I had it looking really good. And they came back to me and they said, oh, there were a few crumbs in the drawer. And I thought, oh, you're right. In my haste to get it ready for them, I hadn't checked the drawers. And I think that's a great point that we need to talk about. When you are doing this housekeeping as a role, when your housekeepers come in, it is not a simple clean. There are a lot of little details that we need to go into because guests notice and they will mark you down on it.
Yeah, Jeff.
Yeah, I totally agree, Felicity. I mean, Mark, give an example. My 1-bedroom place, which is just 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, kitchen, and a combined lounge dining. It was an old miner's cottage. It would take 2 hours to do. I pay roughly $145 a clean, plus gist, plus linen on top for that one. The bigger house, the 3-bedroom house, which is over 3 stories, and Sue has stayed in it, so she can tell you how large it is. It's what is it? We pay about $290 a clean for that, and it would easily take 2 people 2 hours. So that's 4 man hours in order to clean that. Now, one thing I kind of advocate for every host to do at least once, and I have done it begrudgingly, I have actually had to clean both houses, either because my cleaner was away and I suddenly got a booking. My God, it is hard work. And it literally, the big house took me literally 4.5 hours to do, and the small house took me 2.5 hours to actually do. And I'm pretty sure I did not do as good a job because, Flick, you're right. You have a look at something and you forget. Did I actually vacuum under the couch? No, I didn't. I didn't even think about it. However, I do have the odd guest who looks from time to time. Why they look is beyond me, but they do. So I reckon if you think your cleaner's overcharging you, do a clean yourself, give it a go, and see how long it takes you, and see what you think of the job. It's well worth the education.
I think we'll throw to Sue and then on to Meredith, but I'd be interested to know, how do you charge your guests for these costs of cleaning? And let's talk about linen as well. What you do with 19 properties, Sue, about keeping the linen up to scratch.
Myself, and it's a totally different situation to all the other guys, but it's important, I think, to understand when you're cleaning yourself, you can make it easier on yourself. You can put a gap between bookings. You don't have to do back-to-backs. And when I say back-to-backs, that means a guest checks out this morning, another one comes in this afternoon. If you're working full-time or part-time, you can put a gap there in the middle of 24 hours or 2 days, whatever you like, to take the pressure off yourself if you're going to be doing your own cleans. And then you get yourself into a routine of how you flow through the clean, as Sue mentioned before. And the first thing really that should be done is to open the windows and doors if you can, but let the place air while you strip the beds down and start the washing. Now, also, you should have extra sets of linen, because it's not always going to be possible to wash and dry that linen and put it back. So you want to have at least 2 sets of sheets, and I would say 3 for each bed personally. And then, you know, at least 3 full sets of towels for each place. That's my opinion only, but I think, and you should rotate them so that one set gets completely, you know, worn out. And I think buying good quality linen is important, although I don't always buy expensive towels, because I've bought Kmart towels since I've been doing this 8 years now, and they will wear just as well as any others. And if you look at them and they look good quality, use them, because they do last well. So you can cut down your costs. If you've got a luxury listing, that's a different story. But if you've just got an average listing, buy very good quality sheets and buy reasonable quality towels. They're my tips for that. And be anal about cleaning. Check everywhere. Check underbeds, check window ledges, check everything. I mean, you don't have to do every single thing every single time, but if you've had a family in with children touch everything. So you've got to go around and you've got to wipe all those little finger marks away and things like that. So it is a totally different type of clean. And you've got to replace things where they were if they're moved, and you know, all that topping up. But give it a go yourself, like Jeff said, because it's important that you know how a clean works, and it's important that you clean to the same standard every time. Not just clean, you shine. So I will wash down my sink, my stainless steel sink. I will wipe it off and then I will polish it so it sparkles, not just clean. Okay, that's the difference.
And it did sparkle. I can actually attest to that. I saw it when Felicity and I stayed there. It certainly sparkled.
Thanks, Jeff.
Flick, talk to us about towels and linen and where you hide these, so that I was listening to Meredith saying she buys 3 lots of towels. Well, and don't we hate it when we don't get a bath sheet? Do you provide bath sheets or just normal towels, Flick?
Well, look,
Charging.
good question, Mark.
I need you guys to comment about what you're charging for your cleaning or how you structure that. And we still haven't heard
Okay.
how much you charge. Don't be embarrassed, Felicity.
Oh, yeah, no, you're right. Well, look, just before you go into that, I just wanted to go back to a point that Sue made before about having the importance of having your property set up so that, you know, the cushions are in the right place. And I think that also goes back to, you know, a guest has made a booking with you based on the photos that they've seen, the reviews that you've got, and your description. So if a guest walks in and, you know, the decor is quite different, they're going to be starting to question it, and they will be asked about it when they make their comments. So it is really important. And going back to working with housekeepers who are trying and need a bit of a hand, I had a lovely young mum who was working with me, and she was very keen to get into this and set herself up in a business to do this. But while she was very enthusiastic and she was very keen and she took it upon herself to watch a lot of tutorials, often you've just got to help massage, you know, and help train these women, these teams up. And one of the things I noticed with her was going back to what Sue's point about the cushion. I have a cushion with a kookaburra on it in my listing, and she'd put it on the couch, but it was upside down. Such a rookie mistake. You know, I think this is what goes back to when we talk about housekeeping and how housekeepers who come to our house, this is not a simple, straightforward job. They have to think a little bit further. If they're vacuuming our own homes and it's just a regular clean, we don't really care. But when you're setting up a short-term rental, it's got to look perfect. And having a kangaroo or a kookaburra sitting upside down, it's not a good thing to do. It's got to look perfect. So it is a little rookie mistake, but these are the little details that you have to go into when you're training people and when you're going through and specifying what you're doing.
Head would have exploded if I'd seen a kookaburra upside down. Oh my God.
Absolutely.
I just can't.
So going back to your point, Mark, I do not charge my guests a cleaning fee. I build that into my fees. And I know that throughout the year, my rates peak and trough. And I know myself, I do not take a booking of less than 3 days unless I absolutely have a little gap and I have the backup of my housekeeping team and they can get in and fit in, and then I will do it, because I know that my housekeeping is $170 to change over.
So what are you charging per night or for 3 nights?
Yeah, so on top of that, there's also the
one
linen.
bedroom.
On top of that, there's the linens. Often I can fit the linen in, doing a couple of extra loads in between work and getting on top of that. But these days, sometimes I can't, and I do send it out sometimes to my local laundromat who's an amazing team. Love her. Another wonderful Kiwi woman. But that's, you know, that can be another $50 to $60 in costs as well. So what do I charge a night? Well, look, at the moment it's low season, and I know we're all there's many of us who are out there going, hang on a minute, the bookings are slow. So it's a very price competitive market. And when you compare yourself not just to other rentals in the area, but also to other hotels and lodgings that people have a choice to stay in, you have to be price competitive. So there is that balance between getting a body in a bed and the cost of doing business. So we go out at around $160 an hour. That's to me, cash in hand. So what the guest that's what comes into me. So what the guest is actually being charged depends on obviously the OTA that you're working with. But that is at a low time. But then when it gets to peak time, it's up to $300 a night or more. So it balances itself out as we go. But I think one of the key things that I would also highly recommend to our listeners is don't skimp on your cleaning. So I have heard of stories where there have been people who've come to Sydney, they've stayed in an Airbnb, they've pulled back the sheets, and it's quite clear that sheets have not been washed. And I heard from another incredible host who runs, I think, 45 properties in Sydney, and she had taken on a few houses in an area, and she'd taken on a housekeeping team that worked with her. And when she went to work alongside them as they did the first housekeeping clean, they had made the comment to her that the previous guests had only spent 3 nights in the property. So why did they need to actually strip the doona covers? And she was horrified, and she said, there is absolutely no way that those doona covers stay on here. They have to be stripped between guests. And I think in this day and age, when it's a very competitive world, your property must be clean, not just sparkling, but your linen has to be perfect as well. And that means between guests, you do need to wash the sheets, you do need to wash the doonas, you do need to wash the pillow protectors. This is what helps you get your 5 stars.
Jeff, how do you manage to make sure that there's plenty of towels and all the rest? Do you have a hiding hole with a lock?
No, so we have, I outsource all of my linen to a local linen company. We order linen a month in advance, and each property has a stored linen cupboard where we keep everything. So for example, for the large house, I know that we'll use 6 sheets. We'll use 12 pillowcases. We provide 3 towels per couple, which sounds odd, but it works on the basis of 1 towel for the man, 2 towels for the woman. So therefore, we'll be providing 9 towels. We provide 3 tea towels, 2 bath mats, 2 hand towels, 3 face washers, and the list goes on. And so we always have plenty on site to cater. So, and we've had guests who will ring up and say, "Oh, we've used all the towels. Could we have some more?" Well, providing my cleaner is in the area, we'll actually happily go around and give them some more towels. Otherwise, they have to wait.
And you put bath sheets?
Yeah, yes, they're bath sheets. They're the big ones. These days, as we get more and more into winter, we keep getting requests for bathrobes. That's a whole different story into itself, because they always have to be laundered after every guest. And realistically, for a 3-bedroom house, we're talking 6 bathrobes. But I'm currently toiling with that idea and having them monogrammed and branded by the house, that sort of thing, and telling the guests that if you want to take it, they're not expensive to buy. They're literally $20 to buy each for a good quality one from some of these hotel supply groups. But if they want to buy it, they can buy it. I'll happily sell it to them. I don't charge. I don't charge anything extra for cleaning or linen. It's built into the pricing. And this is how the pricing, and this probably should be this will be one of our other sessions, Mark, I imagine. I aim for every weekend to cover all of my costs for that week. And that way, weekday pricing is set to generate profit. So I need to cover all of the costs of linen, rent, outgoings, you name it, from my weekend booking.
What are we talking a night?
We're talking typically at the moment $500 a night.
Yeah.
For 3 bedrooms. I tend to break it down on a per person basis. It's about to go up to 600. So 600 a night equates to effectively $100 per night per person to stay there.
Do you think about the price of a hotel or some of the
totally. Because here's the thing, right? So 3-bedroom house. This is where you think about it. $100 per night per person is $200 per room. My local hotel, the cheapest you can get to stay there for a room is $245 for Saturday night. And you don't get the lounge, and you don't get the kitchen, and you don't get, they charge you extra for the Wi-Fi and everything else. So, yeah, totally. When you were thinking about pricing, and like I said, another day perhaps, I do a lot of research in the area, and I always think of it in terms of per person and per room.
We might go to Meredith, and then we'll come back to Sue, and I might wrap up after that, or we'll just do one more lap around. Meredith, Sue, Flick, Jeff, and then back to me, and we'll say goodbye. How's that?
Thanks, Mark.
Final.
I must admit that I always leave a lot of extra towels, mainly because we have a pool. So I have a pool towel cupboard. So I always tell my guests, if they need extra, they can quite happily use those. But I agree that I think 2 towels per person is what I will leave. Usually men don't use as many towels as a woman, but I don't like to be sexist in this, so I try to leave 2 towels per person. One thing I wanted to talk about was I also supply a little makeup face washer. It's black and it's got makeup written on it. And I have one of those every single time. When I first started, I used to find that I lost face flannels. They just disappeared. And I think people stained them, couldn't get them out, and so were embarrassed and just took them or something like that. Ever since I started providing one of those little black makeup face flannels, I've had no issues whatsoever with linen going missing or anything like that. So that's one of my tips for stopping the linen from getting stained.
Look, thanks, Mark. I think my key advice would be to anyone who's starting out or anyone who's currently looking at their place and trying to improve is you will live and die by your cleaners. They are incredibly important. Look after them, praise them when they do a wonderful job, give them some constructive feedback if they need it, and gently show them and maybe give them some other ideas of how they might be able to help improve. But look after them, because without them, you won't have a successful business.
Jeffrey, final thoughts?
I don't really have any that you guys haven't already said. I mean, I think that's all of them. There's no new pearls of wisdom from Jeffrey on this one, Mark.
Oh, actually, Mark, can I add one more thing? Okay,
Yeah.
so my last passing remark is when you are working with your housekeepers, looking at the values that you have and making sure that they align with your housekeeping team. So, for example, I host sustainably. So I have a housekeeping team that knows that they need to empty a compost bin. I have made that, well, I've set that up in our property so that it's easy and it's not too icky, and they know where the compost bin is to put the compost if the guests don't empty it, and they know where the recycling bin is. It also goes back to me choosing the linen that I choose comes from a store where the cotton is GOT certified cotton. The linen is cotton, not polycotton, so I'm not shedding microfibers every time I wash. And the cleaning products that I ask my housekeepers to use are generally eco-certified. And so far, I haven't had a problem, but also working with my cleaners and helping them to understand that there are a few things that I do differently that I need them to get on board with. And if they don't want to, my housekeepers love that I'm doing it, and they fully support me with all my recycling endeavours, repurposing endeavours, and what we do.
Well, listeners, thanks for joining us for season 1, episode 5 of the STR Street Talk Show. Particularly for new hosts or those thinking about it, drop us a message. We do get some support from Airbnb to help you to get set up and to go through all of those many things that we're going through on this checklist: cleaning, photos, you name it. So at the end, you'll see some credits and there's links to each one of us. You can be in contact. And as I said, if you need help getting set up, that's what we're here for. Thank you again for joining us. Talk to you next week. Cheers.